This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This
Just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Sir.
Feeling good. Al, looking sharp, buddy.
Thank you. It's a very colorful panel.
It's tough to pull off a red shirt like that, but you look cute as a button.
I bought this shirt and I was like, I don't know when, maybe if I become a hitman or something I can wear it. But this is like...
It's fire engine red.
Yeah, it is
red. Alarmingly
but yes,
red.
I mean, honestly, Ebony, just our incredible fashion czar hooked it up, so I'm really happy.
Czar.
Yes.
You look good,
Czar.
buddy. As always, let's get to it, guys. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Kyle Richards is opening up about her separation from Mauricio after 27 years of marriage. While on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, Kyle confirmed she was the driving force behind the separation and said they are still living under the same roof but on different floors. It's a pretty big house, just so you guys know. Kyle also said she wasn't thrilled to see a photo of Mauricio holding hands with his Dancing with the Stars partner, Emma Slater, even though she initiated the breakup. Let's watch.
I was taken aback.
Upset? Upset?
Yes, that was very hard to see. Yeah, that was, yes, that hurt my feelings.
Do you think something's going on there?
Well, the thing is this, I don't know if anything's happened yet, but obviously there's something there. And listen, I love him very much, and we are amicable, but that really did hurt me.
Yeah, hurt my feelings. I just want to point out, she's the one who initiated the breakup, and weren't there photos of her canoodling all out there? What is she being the victim all about?
She's been flirting with her lady friend.
Yes,
very
I don't
true.
even know who that is, and I've seen
Morgan,
photos.
yeah, workout.
Morgan Wade.
That's right.
Okay.
She almost said Morgan Stanley.
I did not.
Yes.
I almost said Morgan Wallen. Is what I almost said.
Different person
Totally.
completely. Yeah, well, it's interesting because they did a flash to later in the season where they're having a conversation, Kyle and Mauricio, and Mauricio's basically saying, well, I'm glad that the cheating rumors aren't about me, and she's like, for once, because there's been so many rumors about Mauricio potentially stepping out on the marriage. But listen,
Were any of them validated?
Well, not to our knowledge as the fans of the show. But I think as someone who has been divorced, or even if you're like in a relationship with someone for a long period of time, the feelings don't necessarily just hard stop just because you decide that you're going to separate or divorce. So of course there's going to be some type of feeling. I remember having a conversation with my ex-husband, and I made a comment about a choice he had made with his like grooming, and I was like, oh, that's different. And he's like, well, some people like that. And I thought, like, you're right. Some people do like that, and it doesn't matter what I think.
Right, anymore.
You know, like, you are trying to attract someone else. And so you're like, oh, like, yeah, that's a hard stop situation. So I can understand someone feeling like, dang, like, couldn't you have been a little bit more discreet about it? We got separated, but we're not quite divorced. There's kids involved.
How about the Dancing with the Stars dance? That was pretty.
I was about to say, you worried about holding hands.
Smoking hot with that, the whole situation with Emma Slater. You know, this ending is a little, hello, okay.
What's even more so, like,
Okay.
listen, that's perfectly fine. But if someone's married and they go on that show,
Yeah,
I might be like, yo, what's
Totally.
happening? You know what I mean?
There's been a lot
Yeah.
of crossover and overlapping there. There's a lot of tension in the pasadobles. But I will also say this. I lived with my ex for a year, and he lived in one room, and I lived in another. And he was studying for the bar, and just financially, it just worked out in LA. And he would go on dates, and I would go on dates. And it was like really, Erica's right. It's not a finish line. It's a super gray area where you're like, good for you. I'm gonna cry.
But you don't go on Andy Cohen and play the victim.
Very true.
You know,
Super
Al?
true.
Yeah.
Am I seeing this wrong?
It depends, because Jeff, I was back and forth on that during this conversation. I was like, is she playing the victim, or is she doing what I asked people to do, which is be honest in the situation? And sometimes honesty is, I don't have a right to feel this way. It's kind of silly since I initiated it, but I do. And I don't know why. I'm human. It's dumb. I'll work through it, but this is how I feel. I do kind of respect that. You know, I'm going back and forth on, you know, they say the absence of the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And so I would think that once you did get a divorce, especially if you initiated it, it was because you were feeling indifferent, that you were starting to feel like, I don't care what my spouse does. Like if it's like I'm going to a strip club, you're like, do you need some gas money? I would think that's when you know it's over, when you don't have those little residual feelings of jealousy. So maybe there'll always be a little something there, but that's not enough to hang on to.
I think it can be over and you can still feel something. Right. I think that's just human. But just to put it into context too, this was the first time that she was sitting down and having to sit and just answer these questions.
Probably say it out loud for the first time.
Right. So almost like a confessional.
Right. So it was a little weird. I don't know, and I'm not like, I like Kyle Richards. I'm not like a stan of Kyle Richards when it comes to Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But it was a very awkward situation because she had her support housewife, Teddy Mellencamp, because apparently that was the only reason why Teddy was there. Now that was the real tea because Andy Cohen was looking at Teddy like, why are you here? Why do I need to talk to you? Anyway, so she had to really get rapid fire. So I don't know if she was really playing victim or if it was just a very awkward situation.
Gotcha. Here's what I saw real quickly. She's a little jealous. It has nothing to do with a relationship that Mauricio is now in the spotlight ahead of her. Maybe her show's not airing till next year. I don't think she likes it.
Her show aired tonight.
I think she's more popular at the moment. I think she's more popular.
I did watch it.
He is more popular than her at the moment, and she doesn't like it. That's what she's heard about. It's just me. Let's move on. Kris Jenner revealed her biggest regret in life was cheating on her first husband. Speaking of cheating, Robert Kardashian Sr. Kris and Robert were married for 12 years before she cheated on him with a Hollywood animator. Ooh. She told Khloe that those animators got big dreams. She told Khloe that Robert was a great husband and dad, but she was young and dumb at the time and fell into a situation where she thought the grass was greener. Isn't that always the situation?
Yeah. You guys have any regrets? Mine was definitely cheating. Absolutely.
That's really fair of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the act of somebody that doesn't know how to use their words. And somebody's not emotionally mature enough to do anything, so you just act out instead of just, if you're going to separate or having issues, you should talk about that. But, you know, that was a different time. Like, people didn't have the emotional language and articulation that they do now, that my kids have now. I didn't have words. We were
interpersonal relationships, especially since, like, I don't know, social media has some good to it, meaning like you talk for hours and hours and hours, and there's some opening up there. There's some my biggest regret though is dating losers until I found Brooks.
Do you have a reason why?
I dated the same dude over and over and over again. He was not very nice.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Over and over again.
I think just opening up about it and acknowledging your faults as a person, I think that's very healthy and cathartic.
I was a bad picker,
Even as bad as they are. I think just looking in the mirror and be like, I didn't make good choices.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm a different person today, and I think that's okay. I think society's lacking that a little bit. Doesn't make what you did right, but it's okay that you acknowledge it openly.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, I do
the
like
humanity of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coming up on DBL, we're talking with holistic plastic surgeon Dr. Yoon about the weird beauty trends on the internet. And one of the members of Milli Vanilli is opening up about the lip syncing scandal. Remember them?
Yeah.
Blame it on the...
We were talking about like relationships and regret, and I think that it's always great when you can have a reflection like that. Is a nice transparency like for you to share about your regret. I struggle with the idea of regret because although I did divorce, and by the way, it's so much easier to get married than it is to get divorced. But at the same time, had I not married the person that I married when I did, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I really look at it in a way that like,
we weren't meant to be together for the rest of our lives, but we were certainly meant to be together at a time when we had to be very brave and do things that other people in our lives hadn't done, including like moving away from home,
what year,
starting new lives, understanding that things don't end, start and stop like where we were born and raised. So a lot of that took a partnership that I don't know if I would be in a place where I am now if it weren't for that. So I always appreciate that.
Not only do I produce, I produce
at
a high level.
It worked
I know
for
my
the time
talent.
that it was supposed to work.
I mean, I totally agree. I don't know how much time we have, but you have to put yourself in a situation where you were going to go through something that might not work out well in the time, might be traumatizing in the time, but it's going to bring something out of you that needs to come out. Sitting in a state of homeostasis and just calm all the time, you're not going to figure out what's inside of you. And sometimes that stuff is bad and it's got to come out too.
Often it's bad.
I was Milli Vanilli for Halloween.
Thank you, Tori.
Welcome back to DBL. That was Milli Vanilli with their big hit, Girl, You Know It's True.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That worked out well, Al. Way to go. Way to go.
Good, you guys. I was like, this is gonna stick.
Rose through the charts. Their other hits like Blame It on the Rain in the late 80s, but they were instantly canceled after it was revealed they didn't actually sing any of their songs. They fooled everyone just like Al and I did.
Yeah, totally.
And even lip-synced their way to the Grammy stage and picked up an award for Best New Artist. Sadly, Rob Flatus, is that how I say his last name? Died. Flatus, there we go, died of a prescription overdose back in 1998. Now, the lone surviving member of Milli Vanilli, Fab Morvan, is telling his side of the story in a new documentary. Let's watch.
They don't want us to sing. What? This is weird. We don't want to lip sync. Someone had to have known this was going on.
We were seduced, we were abused, and we're happy that it's over.
There's no real crime here, but it cost a life.
Fab said they signed their record deal without even reading it and said the label never had any plans for them to actually sing.
Yeah, that was actually in the contract, that they were not going to be singing themselves. And again, get a lawyer if you're going to have a contract. Make sure you read the contract. I just want to say that. But I just want to bring everyone's attention to the moment where it all broke down. A Connecticut concert, 1989, and the track started skipping. Let's take a look.
Girl, you know it's 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 girl.
So they just ran away a la Ashley Simpson on SNL, doing the little dance, and that was the end. And I feel like this documentary is going to show us how exploited these two people were.
Well, they all do. There was a series called Behind the Music, and every single one was that these 18-year-old kids.
Totally.
I don't know which rock band it was. They said they signed a contract on like the hood of some guy's car. I watched the Wham documentary. They were like, we got signed in like a cafe. We were two 18-year-old kids from like, you know, England, and these guys come in and they get you drunk and they get your girls, put you on the tour bus, and that tour bus drops you off right at your mom's house with no money. And New Edition, all these artists, it's one of the things, sadly, Erica, that transcends every genre, from heavy metal to pop.
Mm-hmm.
They just rip these kids off, and now it's more transparent.
Which is why people clown on her so much, but you know who really got it and is a cajillionaire for it? Very early on, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey has owned her music, intellectual and creative property since the beginning. Because what was happening, especially during this time, was music or record labels were getting these really beautiful faces. Milli Vanilli wasn't the only one. You know, these were beautiful men.
Right,
okay?
they were.
They wanted them to be marketable. They wanted them to be superstars, and they could have been superstars on something apparently other than singing, because they did try, and it didn't go over very well.
I think they were like street performers.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that really showed the idea of the behind the scenes of like the importance of ownership of everything that you do.
And we bring it up to Taylor Swift today. You can mock her all she wants. What is she doing? Owning back her music, taking it back.
Well, she was given the opportunity. She came around at the right time, because there was a time where your record label was your overlord. So, oh, you have a problem with your issue, Tori? Well, I'm going to take your album, throw it in the back, and we're going to deal with Erica's album now. So what leverage do you have? But now it's more.
I just don't know if exploited is the right word. They kind of basked in some of the...
That's a fair point, too.
You know?
It wasn't all put a gun to your head and do this. You're right.
They had some success
but yeah,
as well with
that's
it. All
true.
right, we got to go, though. We'll be right back.
Because of increased tension in many hot spots around the world, the State Department issued a worldwide caution when it comes to travel. But what if you find yourself in a crisis and need to get back to the United States? We are looking at some questions so we can verify if and when the U.S. will help. Our sources, U.S. Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs, federal law, and the State Department Basic Authorities Act of 1956. Our first question, will the United States government always evacuate citizens in crises? According to the U.S. Department of State, if there are no commercial options, if there are consular officers at the embassy, and if conditions permit, they will help U.S. citizens identify possible transportation options. Or they will encourage people to stay at a safe location until they can find a commercial option to leave. So we can verify that no, depending on the situation, the U.S. government won't always evacuate citizens. And finally, do you have to pay the U.S. government for evacuations if it's needed? According to federal law, assisted evacuation of a private U.S. citizen must be reimbursed to the maximum extent practicable. The payment for people who evacuate during times of war, crisis, or natural disaster has been in place for more than 60 years when it was included under the State Department Basic Authorities Act of 1956. The U.S. Department of State says you do not have to pay before you board any transportation. However, you will need to sign a form promising to repay the U.S. government. So we can verify that, yes, if the U.S. government helps evacuate you, you need to repay them for the cost. With your Verified, I'm Megan Bragg.
Welcome back. It seems like every time you log on to social media, there are new cosmetic surgery trends popping up all over the place. So how do you know which ones are worth it and which ones are a waste of your time? Luckily, our favorite holistic plastic surgeon, Dr. Tony Yoon, broke it down for us earlier. Take a look. Please welcome back to the show. We love him, Dr. Tony Yoon.
Thanks for having me on.
What's up, Doc? All right, we got to talk about this. People are using DIY injections with hyaluronic acid to plump their own lips at home. Is this safe?
It is not safe. It's probably one of the least safe things you can do to your lips. And the problem is that you're injecting filler. There's a huge artery called the labial artery that goes through your lip. If you accidentally inject that filler into that artery can get clogged. If it gets clogged, literally parts of your lip can die. They will turn black. They will look like char, and you will be missing part of your lip.
Stop doing it. Char mouths, cut it out.
No, I don't know why anybody would do this to themselves to begin with. So many people have people out here looking like duck faces. Don't do that yourself. Okay, another weird trend. People are using dimple makers. I actually did it myself. No, I'm just kidding.
You did not.
It's a cute dimples. Thank you. It's a wire device with metal balls on each end. Does this actually work? Because I only have one, so I'd like some symmetry.
So it does not work, and I'll explain why. There actually are surgical procedures where you make an incision on the inside of the mouth, and then you put a suture between the dermis, the deep skin, and the fascia, which is a covering of the muscle, and you create this kind of dimple-like connection, and that actually does work.
Okay.
But just putting two balls on either side of your literally of your lip or of your cheek, really all that can do, if it's really hard, you may be able to kill some of the fat cells underneath, but it's not going to create a dimple, it's just going to create an indentation. That's different than a dimple, and if that fat is killed off, then it's gone. So, but for that to happen, it'd be so painful, because like a dying lip, you'd have to literally kill off a part of the inner portion of your cheek to create that. It's just a waste of time and money.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Yoon, I've heard a lot about frownies, and in fact, people are posting videos, putting those sticker patches on their faces before bed. They say that they erase fine lines and wrinkles. Should we all be buying these? Do they help even a little bit?
So the answer is they can help a bit, but it doesn't help how you may think. You may think that, oh, you put these on your forehead, it's going to smooth out those lines. The best that they can do is actually act as a trainer, a facial trainer, essentially. So certain lines, like our forehead lines, like our crow's feet, and I can't make this because I've got Botox, your frown lines, those are created by muscles. And when those muscles flex, you create those lines. If you can train your forehead not to do this, prevent yourself from doing that, then yes, those lines can get smoother, and that's the idea behind frownies. There actually was a story long ago that supposedly, I don't know if this is true, that Elvis Presley told Priscilla not to do this with her brows so she wouldn't create wrinkles there. And technically, that's kind of like what the frownies do.
I can't do that because I get too fired up about it. All right, we always talk about cosmetic procedures that make us look younger, Dr. Yoon, but what about things that could actually make us look older?
Yeah, one very popular procedure, actually Chrissy Teigen was one who admitted to having it done, is buccal fat removal. And that's where you take fat from the inside of your cheek. That is a procedure that if I had that done, it would make me look older. If Sam had it done, she would probably look older as well. But some people who have more of a heavier face, then that can be a potential benefit for some of them cosmetically. Yeah, like, you can see with certain people, if they've got a rounder face, then that can definitely work, like with Chrissy.
DBL Nation, make sure to follow Dr. Yoon across social media at Tony Yoon MD. Thank you again, Doc. We hope to see you soon. We'll be right back.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Whether your pumpkins were spooky or sweet, it will soon be time to throw them away. But can you safely discard them in the yard or compost them without hurting wildlife? Let's verify. Our source is Morgan Raphael, Executive Director of Carolina Wildlife Conservation Center and the National Wildlife Federation. With so many pumpkins heading straight to the landfill every year, Raphael says it's better for the environment to recycle them instead.
So you can make bird feeders out of them by cutting a hole and putting seed in the bottom. You can compost them. You can plant them yourself.
What about the wildlife? Are slightly worn pumpkins safe for them to consume?
Pumpkin seeds are actually a natural dewormer for animals, so it's totally fine for them to be eating them.
However, there are some things to be mindful of before you throw out your pumpkins into the wild.
So first of all, you need to make sure that they're not painted with clear paint or spray paint, because that's toxic to animals. And then next, you need to make sure that they're nice and smashed into pieces.
The National Wildlife Federation also says make sure to break up your jack-o'-lanterns, because otherwise animals can get their heads stuck in the hole you make at the top. So we can verify that yes, you can safely discard pumpkins in the yard or compost without hurting wildlife as long as they are not painted, and just make sure you smash them first. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
There's often the conversation about red flag laws, which aim to take firearms away from people who might pose a risk to themselves or others. In fact, social media users are already talking about it. So does Maine have a red flag law? We turn to Maine's state code and attorney general's office to verify no. Instead, it's a yellow flag or yellow paper law. It's a process with more steps than the more assertive red flag laws in some states. That means they do have extreme risk protection orders, which can be used for law enforcement officers to remove firearms from the possession of people at risk of using guns to harm themselves or others. But in Maine, it goes into effect, quote, when a law enforcement officer has taken a person into protective custody. So it requires someone to have had a run-in with the law. Then, a medical practitioner must, quote, assess whether the person presents a likelihood of foreseeable harm. And that is a hindrance, according to Maine's Deadly Force Review Panel 2022 report, which pushes for more resources and education around the law. How about red flag laws in D.C., Maryland, or Virginia? Everywhere in the DMV is covered by a law allowing for an extreme risk protection order when there's concern over how someone might use a gun. We have detailed information about local red flag laws on our website right now. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
Welcome back. We got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out. All right, Steph, what do you have for us today?
Hey, Jeff. Hey, DBL Nation. We are super excited to show you all of the deals today. And believe me, they are absolutely wonderful. Let's check them out. First up, we've got the Sharper Image Shiatsu Full Body Multifunction Cordless Massager. This doorbuster deal includes one massager that can be used on your back, your neck, your feet, or anywhere else that you need some soothing relief. Normally, these are $150, but we've got it for just $25. That's saving everyone 83%. Now this is, just so beautiful. I absolutely love it. It's the 1.5 carat Moissanite 3-stone necklace in sterling silver. So this still includes one necklace with appraisal. Normally this is $500, but we have it for just $49.99. That is saving 90%. And next up, we've got the Key Smart Urban Union Hard Shell Portfolio Briefcase. So this still includes one portfolio briefcase. It's water resistant and it's got 12 internal pockets, including a pocket for your laptop. Normally it's $180. We have it though for $24.99, so that is saving 86%. And then last but not least today, this is so useful. It is the 2-pack Secure Bright 4-in-1 car door support handles. So this deal includes 2 support handles, and we've got them available in either red or blue. Normally this is $50, but we have got a 2-pack today for just $19.99. That is saving 60%.
Thank you as always. Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on the screen to take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Again, Steph, wonderful job. Great job as well, Jeff. Thank you. Tori, special day for you?
Yes, very special day.
What's happening?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have my 10th anniversary this day, October 26th. 10 years ago, I was married, so I'm really happy.
Happy October 26th. See you tomorrow.